Today, we're going to dive into a short but incredibly powerful story from an ancient text. It's a story that asks one of the most fundamental questions you can possibly ask. What's the real source of our power, our abilities, and even our consciousness? Seriously, just think about that for a second. When you accomplish something big, when you feel strong and successful, who really gets the credit? Is it all you, your talent, your hard work? Or just maybe, is there something else going on? That's the mystery we're diving into. And our guide for this exploration is the Kena Upanishad, one of the foundational texts of Hindu philosophy. Now, instead of just giving us a dry, abstract answer, it does something really brilliant. It tells us a story. It's kind of like a mythological case study designed to help us see the answer for ourselves. Okay, so let's set the scene. The story kicks off right after the gods, the Devas, have won this massive cosmic victory against their enemies. They've saved the universe and the party is on. But something feels a little off. They've fallen into a very human trap. They started believing their own hype. The text says it plainly. They thought this victory was theirs and theirs alone. They completely forgot that their power might have come from somewhere else. They were mistaking the instrument for the source. And right then, at the absolute peak of their arrogance, something shows up. The text calls it a yajna, a mysterious, awe-inspiring spirit. It just appears. And none of the gods, not a single one, knows what it is. Their victory party comes to a screeching halt. Now here's where it gets really interesting. How the gods react. They don't approach this with humility or even curiosity. Nope. They react with pride. Their first instinct is to try and figure out how to dominate this unknown thing, to prove that they're still the ones in charge. So first up is Agni, the god of fire. This guy is a total powerhouse, the embodiment of cosmic energy. The gods send him over, and he approaches the spirit, full of swagger. When the spirit asks who he is, he boasts that he can burn down the entire earth. You know what the spirit does? It places a single, tiny blade of grass in front of him and says, "Go on then, burn this." Agni unleashes all his power, all his cosmic fire, and nothing. He can't even scorch it. He has to go back to the other gods totally humiliated because the very power he thought was his just completely vanished. So next up, they send Vayu, the god of wind. He's the master of force and movement, the kind of power that can level mountains. And he makes an even bigger claim. He can blow away anything and everything on the entire planet. And again, the spirit gives him the exact same challenge. Lift this blade of grass. Vayu huffs and puffs with all of his cosmic might, but the blade of grass doesn't even move. Not a tremor. In an instant, the two most powerful gods in existence have been rendered completely and utterly powerless. Well, with his two strongest guys defeated, Indra, the king of the gods, figures he's got to handle this himself. He's the ruler, the one with the thunderbolt. But he approaches things a little differently. He goes not to boast, but to finally understand what in the world is going on. But something strange happens. As Indra gets close, the mysterious spirit just vanishes. And in its place stands a new figure, the goddess Uma, who is basically wisdom personified. So Indra doesn't get a fight. He gets a teacher. He asks her straight up, what was that thing? And right here, Uma drops the bombshell, the whole point of the story. She tells him, that spirit was Brahman, and that huge victory you were all celebrating, that wasn't yours. You are glorious only in the victory of Brahman. All of it, their power, their glory, their very existence, it was all just borrowed from a source they had completely forgotten about. So, this obviously leads us to the billion-dollar question that this whole story was designed to answer. What exactly is this Brahman, this ultimate source that gives power to even the gods? Well, the Upanishads define Brahman not as a god, like Indra or Agni, but as the fundamental reality itself. It's the uncaused cause, the ultimate consciousness that allows everything else to exist and to function. You could call it the power behind the power. Now, this is a really subtle idea, so here's how the text tries to explain it. It says Brahman isn't something your senses can perceive or your mind can wrap itself around. It's not an object. Instead, it's the very consciousness, that fundamental awareness that allows you to see, hear, and think in the first place. It's the eternal subject. It can never be the object. The Upanishad uses this really beautiful, poetic repetition to drive the point home. Brahman is the enabling principle behind everything you do. It's not your eye, but the consciousness that lets the eye see. It's not your thought, but the awareness that lets the mind think. It's the source code of all your faculties. Okay, so if you can't see it, or hear it, or even think about it, then how in the world are you supposed to know it? The text anticipates this question, and it shifts from telling us what it is to how we can grasp this unique kind of knowledge. The Upanishads offers this amazing metaphor for what understanding this is like: a flash of lightning. Just think about that. A lightning flash isn't something you can predict or slowly build up to. It is sudden, it's brilliant, and it illuminates the entire landscape in a single instant. So this kind of knowledge isn't about collecting facts or reading books. It's an intuitive recognition, a sudden aha moment that happens inside your own mind. It's that flash of insight where you suddenly get it, that the consciousness powering your own thoughts is the very same universal consciousness that's powering everything else. Now, while the insight itself is like a flash of lightning, the text is also really practical. It says you can prepare your mind for it, kind of like preparing the soil for rain. And it lists these 4 key practices: disciplined living, controlling your impulses, doing your duty without being attached to the outcome, and an unwavering commitment to truth. These are what create the conditions for that flash of insight to actually happen. And what's the whole point of this? What's the end game? The text says it's to see this one single reality, this one universal self, not just in you, but in every single being. From the powerful gods in the story all the way down to that humble blade of grass, it's all animated by the very same source. And that is the ultimate realization. So we end right where the Upanishad begins, with the question that it turns back on you. The story of the gods really is a mirror for our own lives, for our own moments of pride when we forget where our talents come from. The text is asking you to look inward and really, truly contemplate. What is that fundamental awareness that allows you to even ask this question? What is the mind of your mind?